they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball, I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say, I got them picking up the pieces. That mean you really playing with your life, I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the same.
Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get dangerous. Cause it can get
please don't play no games with me, I promise I'm too much. Ay, I can never let up even if you had enough. Ay, this ain't for the faint of heart, we always playing rough. I had enough, it ain't luck. I needed a push, I needed ambition, I needed a mission to beat this submission with no intermission. I see the collision, the crash in the distance, they coming off track, no. Now when they ask what's the motive, don't talk about the show them. They all about to see what I mean in the moment. I gotta keep going, I'm shaking the dice and I'm keeping it rolling, they already know.
Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the same. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get dangerous. Cause it can get dangerous. Cause it can get dangerous.
God, my people, ladies and gentlemen, man, let's clap it up one more game, man. Let's clap it up one more game. Salute to everybody in the building, man, for sure. Salute to everybody in the building, man. It's your boy Rain. Good afternoon to you guys in the building, man. Oh, man, believe it or not. Anyway, I just woke up. I just woke up. So much to talk about today, man. So many different things to talk about. We obviously got we got a Zuffa boxing segment on Sunday. Opetai will be defending. Well, he'll be fighting for the first Zuffa belt, the Cruiserweight Championship. And will he be defending the IBF title? We'll talk about that a little bit, right? I don't know if he is or if he isn't, man. That situation is turning out to be very interesting right now as the war, the so-called war, however you want to look at it, this thing going on between Zuffa boxing and the sanctioning bodies, just the new structure of Zuffa boxing approaching this space, bum rushing the space since they started in the beginning of the year. And now, you know, getting the attention, obviously, of a lot of people. We see Frank Warren with the lawsuits. We've seen what happened with Eddie Hearn and Conor Benn. Don King is even supposedly involved in some sort of a lawsuit as well. And now the next chapter seems to be this situation, right? The fighters who are the champions holding these belts, like Opetai, who's holding a Ring Magazine belt, but also holding a IBF Cruiserweight belt. How are they going to be able to work with Zuffa? And how are the sanctioning bodies going to feel about their belts not being represented? So is Opetai in risk of being stripped of his IBF title? In this climate and space, I think anything is possible, right? If we're going to be talking about what makes sense versus what doesn't make sense, what's right versus what's not right, bylaws, things of that nature, maybe we can get a little bit more closer to what it's going to be, but I don't know if it matters anymore when it comes to these conversations. I don't know if the laws, the bylaws, things of that nature really mean as much anymore, as everybody seems to be kind of going with the flow. And if the IBF chooses to do so, then that'll be another conversation, right? But another thing's going on in the space. Devin Haney and Romero seem to be getting close to the final stages of locking in this fight. Now, like I said, to you guys earlier, I pretty much just woke up. So for all I know, they have finalized it, right? I have no idea. I haven't been online. If you guys know different, please let me know in the chat if something has developed in that situation. But as far as I understand, the last I saw, it was still not completely announced yet, right? PBC hasn't formally announced this, as they are the ones who are making the offer to Devin Haney for this fight with Rolly Romero. Now, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what the change of heart was as well. Why this makes sense now, where it didn't make sense before, clearly, right? When Devin Haney beat Brian Norman Jr. and Bill Haney was calling out Rolly Romero and Devin was calling out Rolly Romero, it didn't make sense then for some reason, right? It didn't make any sense, but now it does. Now it makes sense. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the fight itself. And guys, I think the fight is going to be a competitive fight, or could be a competitive fight, which I know seems maybe out of line to say, because I think most people don't rate Rolly Romero as on the same level as a Devin Haney. So for me to say that it could be competitive may be a little contradictory to maybe things I've even said in the past about Rolly Romero, right? Maybe he does. But we have to be honest, styles make fights. That's always the point of contention when we're having conversations about these fights happening. It's the styles, right? And Rolly is maybe awkward enough and maybe strong enough in certain areas that could possibly capitalize on maybe some weak points of Devin Haney, as Devin Haney's not a perfect machine. He's not a perfect fighter. He's a well-rounded fighter. He's an exceptional fighter, right? Pound for pound fighter. But is there anything there for Rolly Romero to take advantage of? And does Devin Haney need to be aware of that? And I think there are. Right? But one thing's for sure, two things for certain. Devin Haney has become a way more present-minded, right, calculated fighter since his Ryan Garcia experience. And we'll talk a little bit about his interview he had on Inside the Ring. He did have an interview, and what did I walk away from the interview with? I walked away with a lot of great stuff. I love interviews like that. And shout out to those guys over there, because they always ask those questions. And Max Kellerman confronting the elephant in the room with Devin Haney as far as stoppages and, him pressing the action when there's opportunities for him to stop these fighters, or it looks like there is. And, Devin Haney spoke on it. And I thought, I like the response. You know what I'm saying? I did like the response. For the most part, he said what I know he would say, but he did say one particular thing that I think gave me hope. Because if it's one thing I talk about with Devin Haney, is the fact that without a doubt, he's the best 147-pounder in the world. There's no question about it, right? The only thing he's missing is that Ring Magazine lineal title, but he is the best 147-pounder in the world, man. And to the point where I just can't pick against him anymore. He has to lose in the ring. Devin Haney's earned that much respect for me, to where I just can't pick against him no more. He's shown and proven that he can battle any adversity. That situation he went through with Ryan Garcia was a very, it could be a very traumatic situation for a lot of people, but he was able to process that. He made the smart decision. He took the year off from the sport. He came back. He took his tune up with Jose Ramirez. He fought the way he wanted to fight in that fight, although we all held him accountable and said, man, is he mentally not there? Is he not the same guy he was before? He was able to tune all of that out. Take his time, go through his healing process, and ultimately come full circle and give us that performance against Brian Norman Jr. So we know Devin Haney's not only got a high IQ, but we also know that he's super mentally strong. And he learned some things from that fight as well. Those fights that don't make you, they don't break you, make you. And there's an argument there to say that the fight with Ryan Garcia leveled up Devin Haney, who's now a different fighter, no longer sleeping, no longer just believing he's just that much better than anybody else, to where he can half-ass an approach or throw certain fundamentals out the window against any fighter. So expect him to be fundamentally sound against Rolly Romero, and not the same guy who seems susceptible to that left hook and things of that nature. But at the same time, even in the fight with Brian Norman Jr., there were moments in that fight where you have to ask yourself, is Rolly Romero in those same moments? Would he be able to capitalize off those little moments we saw in the Brian Norman fight? You know, Devin Haney did get hit in that fight with Brian Norman Jr. He did mix it up a little bit. And listen, we got to talk about the psychology and everything going into this fight as well for Devin Haney, as I think he may be feeling the pressure a little bit on wanting to maybe stop somebody or wanting to make this a statement fight. He has to balance that, right? Because the last time he wanted to do that was against Ryan Garcia, and we saw what ended up happening in that fight, right? We got all those things to talk about. Also, rumor mill has it at this point, or because I don't know if that's been finalized. Maybe this was finalized while I was sleeping. But so it looks like Lamont Roach and William ZEPEDA will be figuring it out over a vacant WBC title in the 135-pound division. Now, Lamont Roach has had a crazy up and down year. Let's say last year and a half, right? Year and a half or so. I don't have the exact dates in my mind. Maybe 2 years. I don't know. I'll say year and a half or so. Draw with Gervonta Tank Davis. Draw with ISSAC Pitbull CRUZ. He's earned so much respect in the game, but for the most part, one would argue he's been riding the wave of Gervonta Tank Davis just a little bit, right? Because his biggest accomplishment up to this day has been going 12 rounds with Gervonta Tank Davis and getting a draw with Gervonta Tank Davis. But we have to be honest about everything involved with that. Although he had a great performance against Tank Davis was going through a lot of different things. There's excuses that could be made one way or the other. This fight right here may be one of the first fights that he can actually get himself back as a champion in the division. There are a lot of great fights for Lamont Roach at 135 pounds. So him being a WBC champion in that division right now, in the midst of Abdullah Mason being a champion, Floyd Schofield still needs to figure out who he's going to fight against, whether it's going to be Lucas Body. I don't know what the story is with that WBA title, but according to the WBA, they are trying to coordinate a fight for that vacant title. So he may very well be in the conversation. Raymond Moratia obviously is in that conversation, and up-and-coming contenders like Javier Herrera and those kind of fighters are there. So fights there to be made for Lamont Roach. He gets an opportunity to become a WBC champion. We can talk about that, but we can also talk about the idea of Javier Herrera being an interim champion and just the way the sanctioning bodies work. Very confusing situation to see Javier Herrera earn himself an interim title, and I guess it would look from the outside looking in like he's being stepped over a little bit. How is he not involved in that conversation? How is it not Javier Herrera versus Lamont Roach, or, William ZEPEDA coming off of a loss against Shakur Stevenson, going right back into a championship fight for the WBC title? So many inconsistencies with these sanctioning bodies. And it's just continuing to snowball. It's snowballing. Mauricio Suleiman goes ahead and gives Rico Van Houten, somebody who last time he had a professional fight, only time he had a professional fight was in 2014, over 10 years ago. So he's got one professional boxing match on his record, and he will be challenging Alexander Usyk for his WBC title. Once again, just the WBC showing their hand every time that they'll do anything for money, completely taking away the credibility of that belt. And it just hurts the sport. It does. It hurts the sport when we constantly see these things, especially in this atmosphere. When you have a movement like Zuffa Boxing coming in there, it really just makes you look. It's contrast now. Before, it was just boxing. This is just how boxing has always been. We're all used to that, blah, 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 blah. But when you have Zuffa Boxing making the movement that they're making and making the waves that they're making, they're highlighting the conversation. So when the WBC does things like that, it just magnifies it, right? Exponentially puts emphasis on what's going on with these sanctioning bodies. I've said in the video that I've done before that the sanctioning bodies are here for a reason, right? They are here to give us a route to find out who the best is. The champions are supposed to represent that. But I don't know if they're doing that as of late. I'll be honest with you. Are the champions the best guys in the divisions? Are they the best? I don't know. Are the guys getting the opportunities to become the champions? Are they the best challenges? Are they the best fighting the champions? Are they really letting us know who the champion is? Or is there really a number 4, number 3, number 2 ranked guy who's not getting his opportunity because he's not bringing enough eyes to the sport as far as asses in the seats, pay-per-view sales, whatever it is, making enough money to where he's not getting the opportunity to show the world what the truth is, which is he's the best guy in the world. Right? It is what it is. Shout out to everybody in the building. I'll take a moment to go ahead and salute to the family in the building. Obviously, as you're stepping in the building, take a moment, hit the like button, do it for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Sam from Jersey in the building. Salute to Let's Go ATV Combat Media. Love the lives, no doubt. Miss Van Houter, good afternoon, Miss Van Houter, or good morning for you. Good to see you in the building, man. I see that Mozzie has an announcement coming up soon. According to social media, the Mozion Van Houter does have an announcement coming soon on what his next fight is going to be. We are all on the edges of our seats waiting to hear that news. The heavyweight division in the Zuffa boxing under the Zuffa boxing promotional label seems to be getting built around very nicely. It looks like Mozzie's going to have a lot of food. Look like they're getting his pantry together for him. Eastside Easy in the building says, 8TP, we in the building. Salute, Claymore. What's good, chat? What's good with you guys, man? Flexing and Stepping in the building says, my boy Clay, what's good, Flexing? What's good with you, family? The Spiritual Ministry in the building, man. How you doing, Queen? Good morning where you are, or good afternoon if you're on my side of the planet right now. Salute to everybody in the building, man. Let's kick it off, man. We got some conversations to have, and of course, I'm going to bring up my guy. Y'all know who he is, man. Y'all hate to love him. Y'all love to hate him. It don't matter one way or another, man. Shout out to my guy, Angelo. Angelo. Jello. What's goody, what's goody, what's goody, what's goody, what's goody, man? What's goody, man? How you feeling?
Feeling good. Every time I get a chance to open my eyes and wake up, bro, I'm alive. So feeling pretty good about that. Crazy though, right? Wake up and I'm like, oh, what news is coming out today? And guns blazing, baby. we're gonna, if you guys have been paying attention to our Read the Ring series, me and Claymore is gonna drop another one for all of you guys. But Tom Aspinall has now signed to a management deal with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, who now is doing a talent management group signing MMA fighters. Interesting. Interesting how this whole Eddie versus Dana thing is happening. So it's not just about
Eddie's dipping his toe. Is he dipping his toe?
Well, what's crazy to me is, though we are getting like compelling possible matches in Devin Haney versus Rolly, what may be next for Xander Zayas, what's going to go on with Boots Ennis next. Here they're announcing Lamont Roach, William Zepeda. But the biggest story that the entire space is talking about, bro, is Eddie versus Dana, and how that is affecting the entire landscape of the entire combat sports world. So, like I said, guys, look for episode 5 of Read the Ring. Me and Claymore are going to completely break that whole thing down.
5 or 4?
It would be episode 5, bro. Okay, we did episode 4 on Usyk, Rico Verhoeven, and how diabolical that is.
Right.
Match. So this will be our episode 5. But anyways, we're going to use this space to talk to you guys, everybody on the chat, and everybody's listening to us live, and our very loyal replay gang. So let's get going with the first one. What was it you were saying? Is Haney and Rolly fighting? I keep hearing it's happening, but I don't know. They said it's Madison Square Garden or New York or something, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the fight's going to happen, but I think the more interesting first of all, I'm very happy for Devin. Like I've stated before, man, we've had so many conversations about options and things of that nature, and it's been an up and down thing with Devin as far as we know who he is, but getting that dance partner, the fighters who are willing to make the big fights with him, and how difficult it's been for him. And there was a point in time where I thought that he might get forced to 154, which I always knew he'd compete. He's a competitor. He's better than most people he gets in the ring with. 9 out of 10 people he gets in the ring with, you got to favor him. Like we've already talked about that as well, right? But at the end of the day, it's one thing to move into a division because you're ready to move into the division, but it's a whole nother thing when you're being forced into that situation. So it's good to see him find the opportunity to unify and make a fight of significance in the division that he's in right now. But at the same time, earlier on, Rolly Romero wasn't interested in this fight, right? I mean,
right.
from your understanding and my understanding, Devin Haney, when he came out of that Brian Norman Jr. fight, was looking for the Rolly fight. And Rolly had a different look at the value of that fight for him, but things have changed. And I mean, where do you think things moved around, and what was the big change? Like, why did the fight become so interesting all of a sudden for Rolly Romero, to the point where the PBC, which is another part of the conversation, has also gotten involved and put this offer out there?
Yeah, I think what we do here is we're always looking at the deeper, we're not trying to look at everything at face value, right? We're trying to read between the lines. So I think this is a PBC thing more than it is a Rolly per se, because I still am very curious as to, number one, how PBC is funding Benavidez versus Zurdo Ramirez, what kind of split they have with Golden Boy on that for May 2nd here in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. Secondly, man, like, Honduras fight's coming up, and I'm still not hearing much about that, bro. I mean, like, it's really flying under the radar, right? And if that is a pay-per-view, and they're going to continue this weird $80 pay-per-view model, right? I don't know how many people are going to buy Fundura Thurman, but I definitely don't know how many people are going to buy Haney Rolly as a pay-per-view as we keep rolling along into Paramount, Netflix, free to access content. I mean, even Top Rank's giving us Tubi for free. You know what I mean? Like, right. The $80 price tag has now become way too high for given the current climate. And then when you're Rolly Romero and you're being forced to essentially, I mean, according to Dan Rayfield, this was 48 hours ago, it was that the WBA was ordering a mandatory / purse bid between Rolly and Giasov.
Right.
Now I'm curious, like, did Rolly basically beg his way out of that fight and figured out a way to basically say to Eddie, please? Or I don't know how they made that. I don't know how Louis de Cuba made that part of it work. And if it is true that what you've told me, unifications trump mandatory, then okay, then Rolly really couldn't get a Ryan fight. Ryan is definitely moving. The way he's moving and the way Ryan's been speaking, Clay, is that he's fighting in July, and we both know that if he is fighting in July, it's going to be Shakur. So if that's the case, and that's what Turkey's paying for, maybe this Rolly thing is PBC trying to get another Benavidez Zurdo type of a fight just to keep them kind of like their heart pumping still before they completely flatline. You know what I mean?
I'll say this, right? Without a doubt, the PBC, I mean, they're the ones making the offer. So there's no hiding the hands here. PBC has put this offer out there, made it happen. The thing about Rolly Romero is he's a company man. He's always been a company man. He's always operated behind the idea that I fight, they make the fights for me. They're the ones moving my careers. He's somebody who's very loyal to his quote unquote handlers. So yes, I agree. The PBC is definitely moving the needle in this conversation here. Look, it's a prize fighting game. Rolly Romero's here to make the biggest bags. PBC wants to use Rolly Romero's brand and likeness to be part. They've deemed him some sort of a moneymaker or a good dance partner. They wanted him before to be involved with the Manny Pacquiao fight. They thought that was a fight they were going to put together at first. They put him across from Tank, and they ever since he fought Gervonta Tank Davis, they like what Rolly brings to the table when it comes to selling these fights, press conferences, things of that nature. So they wanted to see him in a big fight, but without a doubt, the elephant in the room was Giasov because of the mandatory. It became very difficult to put Rolly in these other kind of fights because he had to defend that WBA title, and Giasov was a legitimate and is a legitimate game opponent. A lot of people favor Giasov to win that fight with Rolly Romero, including myself, and I believe you're in the same boat as well. If you watch Giasov fight, you know that he's another Eastern European problem, right? As the Eastern Europeans have presented themselves to be issues, they've earned themselves that reputation. And the bad thing about it is, just like a Bakram Murtazaliev, right? Just like these fighters, they present a lot of risk and not a lot of reward because they're not big stars. So putting Rolly Romero in the ring with a Giasov wasn't going to make sense according to the money print, right? That the PBC has been accustomed to using to make their matchmaking. So how were they going to get out of it was a question. As they were rolling it around their heads one way or the other, how it was going to be. Was it going to be Ryan Garcia? That would have been a legitimate option. But Ryan Garcia these days is an A-side fighter, right? Well, and I say that tongue in cheek to a degree, but not to a degree, right? And what I mean by that is when it comes to Turkey Al-Sheikh, there really is no A-side, B-side. But traditionally speaking, there is an A-side, B-side. And when it comes to people like Ryan Garcia, there is an A-side, B-side conversation because that's how he's going to approach the promotion. That's how he's going to approach the fight where it happens. He wants all his privileges and he wants them in spades, right? He wants all his privileges. And therefore, what does that mean? It becomes a difficult negotiation because if Turkey Al-Sheikh is not involved in the conversation with Ryan Garcia, then what are we talking about? Yep. So why even go down that road? Why even try to fight Ryan Garcia when arguably we should have been fought Ryan Garcia from Rolly Romero's side of the conversation, right? If you weren't fighting Devin Haney next, then you should have been rematching me, period. That should have been the fight that happens, but we clearly see that Ryan went a different way. He's got a WBC title. So the name of the game is money. Giasov is a mandatory, so you can't fight just anybody. The only thing that trumps the Giasov situation is if you are unifying. And if it's not going to be Lewis Crocker, clearly it's going to be Devin Haney. So Devin Haney, once again, being that fighter who leverages his accolades at the table. He can patiently wait, and anybody who wants to become a unified champion or anything of that nature, you have to come down Devin Haney Boulevard, right? And he'll wait, he'll be patient, and things will potentially work out for him the way it just did right now. And to be honest with you, I had this in my mind a little bit that this could possibly happen. That Rolly, I asked myself, what was Rolly going to do as we were getting closer to a purse bid for Giasov? Was he going to defend? I got to the point where I started to believe he was. I'm like, okay, I guess that's what he's choosing to do. He is going to fight Giasov. But nah, the PBC was like, no, we're not doing that, bro. We're not doing that. We want the biggest bag. If it's going to be Devin, let's call up Devin. And here we are right now. It makes sense. But that being said, how do you like this fight? Is this a mismatch or are there some intangibles here? Let's be honest about this fight.
I mean, look, if we're just going to break it down from a purely technical aspect, right? You don't pick favorites, you go down the middle. I don't know why people don't think Rolly would have a chance, because if you really think about it, have we seen Devin Haney get caught? Yes. Can Rolly catch people? Because he kind of throws weird like Navarrete, but more importantly, like Navarrete, he has power. Yes.
And he's fast.
So, I mean, his timing is weird, but he explodes off the timing. That's what I'll say, right? Fast as Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia's
right.
Rolly's explosive is what I'll say. Like when he jumps, when he pops the gun, it pops for sure, right? So I don't want to say 50-50 because, like I've already went on record and say I'll never pick against Devin Haney. But May 30th coming up, Clay, if Devin Haney wasn't already like training and getting his mindset right, and if he doesn't show up with his A game, I think this could be a very interesting competitive type of a fight. I'm not going to be one of these people that's going to like make it a -1,000 for Devin Haney. You know what I mean?
There could be some good money on the table though. If there could be some odds that just
if you guys do +1,000 for Rolly, I mean, come on, what are you doing? Right?
You got to put something there, right? You never know. Right. It's +1,000. You got to you got to be involved. You can't. What they say, you can't win if you don't play.
Right.
But,
right.
I agree with you, man. And I think Rolly Romero does bring some intangibles. And it comes down to the old saying, right? Styles make fights. On paper, Devin Haney is light years ahead of Rolly Romero. He's been boxing ever since he was, 8, 7, 9? I don't know how old he was when he first started, but Rolly Romero is a new fighter. This guy is a guy who comes from a judo background, who's been doing combat sports and really started boxing in his teenage years.
Yep.
He's developed slow in life as well. I mean, there's a story floating around about Rolly Romero not speaking until he was like 4 or 5 years old. So, you know, for all argument purposes, he may be somewhat on the spectrum, right? So, so he's a different person and a different fighter all around. And sometimes that chaos is where you find the weakness in some of these fighters. Sometimes in the middle of all of that confusion is where the strength of a Rolly Romero steps up to the table and does something special. And it's where a Devin Haney may be like, damn, he's hard to figure out, very difficult. And you compound that with power. Power always, you know, that's what Deontay Wilder brought to the table, right? Deontay wasn't super fundamentally sound, but the imminent danger of that right hand played its part in a lot more wins than he ever had losses. So the Rolly Romero fight, very interesting. A unification fight. Devin Haney wins this fight on the back end of a victory here, walks away a unified champion in the division. More leverage for Devin Haney because he needs the leverage. And of course, that Ryan Garcia fight is still floating. It's still floating there. And I don't know how you feel about it. I feel like the fight is going to happen at some point or another. I just feel like it's too big of a fight, too much money on the table for that fight just to not happen, right?
You know what the Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney is? It's like Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis. It's going to happen. It may happen too late. It may happen right on time. It may happen when they're both in their 30s, but it's going to happen, which is, by the way, Clay, why Ryan's not pushing it that hard. If I'm being honest, he's just like, I'm chilling, man. I'm surfing with my belt.
Right. Shout out to HLD says, has Turkey in the zone given Haney the blessings to fight Rolly? Dev is under contract with Turkey. I think, HL, I'm gonna be real with you. I know this keeps on coming up, but I think the idea that he's under a contract, two things. Number one, the idea that he's under a contract with Turkey, we don't know the capacity of that contract. What I mean by that is we don't know, is that a legitimately signed piece of paperwork that Turkey can float over Devin? Can Turkey get in front of Devin getting into other opportunities? I don't know. With Turkey's, there's a lot of like handshake energy. There's a lot of agreement energy. It's not necessarily in the traditional sense of how contracts are done here in America all the time. And number two, would Turkey get in the way of Devin Haney making a fight? I don't think he would. I don't think Turkey would ever get in the way of Devin Haney getting into it. He's not Oscar De La Hoya. He's not going to sit there and be like, nah, you can't do that fight. He's not going to do that. He's going to be like, all right, he's going to offer you. He's going to put offers on the table. He's going to approach the situation with a conversation that Devin Haney can easily be like, nah, I'm fighting Rolly. He's going to be like, all right, well, when you're done with Rolly, let me know. Let's see what's going to happen. For now, I'll do Ryan and Shakur, you know? So I don't know if the contract situation really is, you know, we're here in America, obviously, and we process everything a certain way. When we hear contract, especially as we're watching the Oscar De La Hoya thing develop with Virgil Ortiz, we're seeing how contracts can be. We've seen Teofimo Lopez struggle with Bob Arum trying to get out of deals. We've seen Mikey Garcia struggle with Top Rank in the courtroom. But Turki Al-Sheikh brings an unorthodox approach to the idea of contracts and how he flexes. Is Turkey going to get in front of this fight and say, no, you're not going to fight him, you're going to fight somebody else? I don't see it, at least. I don't see it. Pugilism in the building says, pay attention to those live bets for Rolly versus Haney. People betting on Rolly upset Haymaker and also Haney decision if it's at a snail's pace. Vegas cuts their losses and gives a draw. No doubt, man. We got to see. We're going to see what happens here. Manhunt says, man, Devin needs to fight Ryan. That is the big fight, man. It is the big fight. But what did you think about? Did you see the Devin Haney interview on Inside the Ring?
I haven't yet. I haven't seen it. I've only seen like little snippets here and there, but I've seen enough of Devin. You know, he was at the fights when we were doing the watch party for it. He's at least speaking, right? Like, that's what I'll say, is it's nice to see Devin Haney actually speak for himself. So that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I really want to see him fight.
Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, these fighters, they're late bloomers to a certain degree when it comes to this media. Now, Devin Haney, we've seen him host shows, fight events, or the press conference, the one with that big brawl happened. He's starting to get in front of the microphone a lot more, doing his own thing. on that show with Inside the Ring. I guess next week he'll be on Inside the Ring. He'll be literally co-hosting the show the same way we've seen Ryan Garcia do it, the same way we've seen these other fighters do it. So he's starting to get into that bag. Very articulate. And the thing about Devin, whenever he speaks, you realize super articulate.
Right.
You recognize that immediately. Very intelligent young man. But a very interesting interview. Very good interview because he spoke towards obviously the Ryan Garcia situation. And he said that he tried to reach out to Ryan Garcia, and Ryan Garcia immediately started throwing A side. Yeah, but you know I'm the A side. So Ryan Garcia immediately, taking his spot in the conversation, letting me know how it's gonna go, and that turned Devin Haney off. It didn't turn Devin Haney off because he wanted to be the A side, but more so from Devin Haney's point of view, which I agree with. You let me know what you think. He said there is no A sides. Why are you even talking like that? To him, to Devin Haney, it brought up some old feelings. And the old feelings were games. You're playing games already. I already had a horrible experience with you playing games with me. Right. With the build up to the fight and all that. And it turned him off. And he said, you know what? When you get serious about putting a fight together, let me know. What do you think about that response by them? Do you think he properly responded to Ryan's energy?
I honestly, look, man, you're a prize fighter, right? So you're trying to fight for the biggest prize. And no disrespect to Rolly, man, and no disrespect to the PBC. Although I know at times it feels like we're disrespecting them, but no disrespect. All right. You guys will not produce the same amount of money for Devin Haney the way money would be produced for Devin if he were to fight Ryan. So whatever Haney is saying about why he doesn't want to fight Ryan, you got beat before because he got in your head. If he's already getting in your head now, brother, maybe you really shouldn't fight him. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying you're scared of him. All I'm trying to say is don't worry about it, dude. Who cares, right? Like, look, Jai Opetai, when I hear him talk, all I ever hear is about how he wants to beat everyone's ass. Virgil Ortiz, when I hear him talk, you hear him like, I just want to beat people's ass, right? I'd like Haney to talk more like that, right? I think that we're the people who maybe don't support Devin Haney as much. I think they're fatigued with hearing this BS about money and this and that. Like, look, man, we know Ryan's a clown already. We know he clowns around. We know that that's a part of the allure, the mystique, the character, right? He's a media star. He's a social media guy. So don't play into that. You're Devin Haney, man. You're the best 147-pound fighter in the world, and you'd like to get the Ring Magazine Championship. Unfortunately, the Ryan one, I could see maybe Turkey allowing it to be a Ring Magazine title according to their rule book, right? It's supposed to be 1 versus 2, but Haney already beat number 2, which is Brian Norman. So number 3 is Stanionis, and then number 4 is Ryan. I don't know if the Ring Magazine panel will allow Rolly versus Haney as the Ring Magazine Championship. So at the end of the day, Clay, right back to Devin Haney. It's like, bro, in order for you to get the Ring Magazine Championship, you're going to need to fight either, it looks like, Stanionis or Ryan anyway. So without being disrespectful again, Rolly Romero is a tune-up fight. That's what it is.
Well, I mean, we can't say that fight can be competitive and call him a tune-up. It's
I know, but you know what I'm trying to say, though, right? If your ultimate goal is to become the Ring Magazine title, and you and I have had this conversation, we're gonna have many more. But the salary cap right now is if you're the Ring Magazine champ. There's only 4 of these guys, right? Seems like other than Oscar Collazo, who Turkey doesn't really pay attention to, okay? Shakur, Bivol, Jai, and Usyk all get paid based upon that turkey bag, right? Ryan or Haney wants to get paid the turkey bag. If you want to get the turkey bag and force the issue, you fight for the Ring Magazine title, which is the only championship that really Turkey's going to push, right? He doesn't care about all these other belts more than he cares about the one that he paid for. So, at the end of the day, Clay, it's about money. Am I wrong? Is it not about money? Do you want to make the most money? Yeah.
There's money is money, right? Because I got to push back at the idea of, Devin having to just allow Ryan to do whatever he wants to do. he doesn't have to take a B-side seat. And that's what he's saying, right? Like, the last time I allowed Ryan to do whatever he wanted to do, and it did distract me. Yep. Sometimes acknowledging that doesn't mean it, it doesn't mean I'm making excuses. It means this is Devin Haney taking control and saying, no, I'm not just taking any and everything. I don't need you. People believe I need you. They don't understand that the credibility of this space isn't even there anymore. So fans or whatever trying to bring this up to me as something I need. No, this is something I want. Let's get it. Let's get that out the way so there's no confusion about the difference between needs and wants. And the reason is that needs to be a line driven there is that Ryan doesn't get to do whatever he wants to do. We're going to negotiate. We're going to make it make sense for both of us. And we're going to be serious about this. You're going to be in Nevada pool. You're going to make weight. You're going to do the things you're supposed to do in order for this fight to happen. And I have my own A-side argument that I can make. I don't care what people think. I'm ranked on the pound for pound list. I'm the number one guy at 147 pounds. You came with the dirty piss test. You didn't make weight last time. You lost to Romero when you were supposed to beat him so we can make the fight happen. You ain't all that. You're just dealing with a lot of casual, light in the head fans who don't know no better, and we're not going to make those guys the barometer of who I am in this conversation. So what am I going to do? I'm going to let that sizzle in your spirit. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go beat the guy who whooped your ass in New York. I'm going to go beat that guy. I'm going to take that belt. I'm going to be a unified champion in the division. I'm going to leverage that and continue to move forward. You need me as much as I need you because your payday for me don't come without me in the ring. You don't get paid Devin Haney money for not fighting Devin Haney. So when that sinks in your mind and that becomes a more serious conversation, we'll come to the table. We'll make sure both of us are comfortable. We'll make sure both of us are getting the money that we want. We won't talk stupid, and we'll make a fight happen. What you do during a press conference, what you do, your antics, that's your business. But when we're talking about negotiating, we're not going to play any games in that area. There's no mind games in the contract. The contract needs to be serious business. And if it's not going to be serious business, then I'll move on because I can make fights happen as well. You know what I mean? I think that's the stance Devin's got.
Yeah, no, my counter to it, though, is that, like it or not, when Ryan Garcia won the belt, he did it in front of, I think it was an almost sold-out crowd, but certainly we could agree that there were more eyes watching Ryan Garcia beat Barrios in terms of viewership, live time. I'm not talking about replays, live time. Then there were eyes, Devin Haney fighting Brian Norman. I'm talking live time again, live time viewership, not replays, right? Well, however many replays there ends up being is a later thing that we find out. At the end of the day, though, we live in the now. And in the now, Claymore, all the things you just said in Devin Haney's defense, right? Sounds good. If Ryan fights Shakur Stevenson, who, by the way, is pound for pound number 3, some argue that he maybe should be much higher than pound for pound number 3. And Ryan Garcia is the one that moved down to fight for the 140-pound Ring Magazine title. And he follows all the whatever testing rules that Shakur asks him to do. And that fight gets announced. All I heard was blah, blah, blah. Not that many people bought an $80 pay-per-view for you to fight Rolly. Blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't choose to move down in your weight to go fight Shakur. Blah, blah, blah. Ryan Garcia, did actually do what you weren't willing to do because you're moving scary. And at the end of the day, if you never fight me, no one will ever be able to unsee with their own eyes that I beat your ass on April of 2024.
Shout out to my guy H-Town in the building with the $2, man. Says all I hear from players, wow, I'm Devin Haney. Listen.
Thank you, H-Town.
listen, man, right? Listen, man. The reality is beauty is always going to be in the eye of the beholder. The truth of the matter is Devin has another fight with Rolly Romero. Those are the facts.
Wait, we'll see. Until it's fully announced.
More than likely, he has. It looks like he has a fight. More than likely, it really is well over the 50% mark. It's well into like the 75s. You know what I mean? It's very close. That being said, Devin Haney don't give a damn about an $80 pay-per-view. If he did a contract with the PBC and allowed the sales on the back end of a pay-per-view to dictate how much money he's going to make, that's his bad, right? If he did the deal the way I think Bill would have done the deal, which is let's get this upfront money, what you do is your business. Devin's been here before. He's been in front of the pay-per-view under, getting the biggest bags of money and promoters at the end of it not necessarily making their money back, right? Being upset about what they did. He don't care about that. At the end of the day, it's about being a boss. It's about Ryan Garcia doesn't dictate it. I don't care what Ryan does, what he did with Mario Barrios, and I don't care what he did.
Do you care if Ryan fights Shakur Stevenson?
No, I don't.
I'm wondering.
I don't, because you're probably going to lose. So why?
Great. But at least I fought him with your scary ass, never even wanted to fight him. So that's fine with me. That's what Ryan's going to say, bro. That's what Ryan's going to say. And Shakur is now going to have better leverage.
He can say whatever he wants to say, bro. I think the thing about this whole situation is the turkey conversation, right? This doesn't matter anymore. You're not going to sit down at a negotiation table and throw Mario Barrios numbers in my face and have that affect my bottom line with Turkey. It doesn't matter. So this is a wake-up call. This is Devin saying that conversation doesn't hold the weight. It's just something cool to say and make people laugh, but who's laughing? I live in a multi-million-dollar home driving around in front. Who cares? The reality is I'm rich as fuck, and I'm going to continue to get rich.
You're right.
We're talking about me and you fighting.
Yep.
Are you ready to do it? And if you're ready to do it, act like you are and don't play games. But if you want to play games, that's okay. I can go get money other ways because I've been getting money. Arguably been getting money longer than you've been getting money.
Right.
You made your first big bag when you fought against Gervonta Tank Davis.
Right.
Bravo. Then you jumped across and got in the ring with me and got caught up in all types of antics and made some money there, and you made some money to fight and lose against Rolly Romero.
You forgot to mention that I beat your ass. If I was Ryan,
it doesn't matter though, because I'm trying to make a fight happen.
Does it matter that I beat your ass? Really? Is that the only reason why we would be fighting again? Is because I did beat your ass. And everybody saw it.
The only thing that matters is that if we're fighting or not. If we're not fighting, it doesn't matter. If we're fighting, let's get it in. But I'm not taking any B-side backseat. I'm not doing that with you. I don't need to do that with you because Turkey's involved in it. So we'll wait on you, Ryan. Like he said, we can do the fight later when you're ready to make the fight. We'll do it because that's what I want to do. But outside of that, if you're not ready, I'll go fight Rolly. And I'll go get me a bag with Rolly. I'll become a unified champion with Rolly. And we'll move on from there. And if you're ready to make the fight, then we'll do it. I don't care about you fighting Shakur and you wanting to paint a story about what I'm a pound for pound fighter on the list. You've accomplished nothing in your career. You need to have nothing in your accolades make me worry about anything. You're just
hey, you know what? That sounds nice, Devin. That sounds great. I just want to let you know that when I fight Shakur, whether I win or lose, the next guy I'm probably fighting on another super fight that's going to get me even more money than you because I am the A side, because I do make more money than you do, is Conor Benn. And when I beat Conor Benn's ass, which I possibly would after losing to Shakur, I will be the unified WBC Zuffa boxing champion at this point. And you know what? We can keep playing these games. We can keep playing this game all the way until...
That's the whole point, Angelo. We're not playing games. You're playing games, not me. I'm moving on that's the whole point, right? The whole point is it's a game, it's a talking thing, but as you're talking, I'm moving. I'll retire from this sport, a Hall of Famer. I will be rich. I will do all the things that I need to do. This fight can float however it wants to float because we're in the era of some of the lowest level IQ fan bases where it doesn't matter too much. Fighters have gotten into a place where they don't care about fans anymore. So I'm gonna be a Ring Magazine champion. I'm going to go to 154 and do certain things. you're going to do what you do. Maybe you'll go to the Hall of Fame. But as far as the negotiation between me and you is concerned, last time there's some things that we let slide because we let our emotions get involved. We allowed you to, we took money when you came in and you blew past the weight. We allowed the antics to get in our head in the build up to the fight. And then you ended up coming with a dirty piss test. You're not going to distract me with the smoke and mirrors. You're going to do it right this time. That's what Devin Haney's saying. You're going to do it right this time, because if you don't do it right, I'm not willing to do it with you. Period.
Right.
So if you fuck up again like you did last time, we ain't fighting. You show up and you don't make weight, we not fighting. You know what I'm saying? You don't jump into the VADA testing pool, we not fighting. You don't do the things that you need to do to make me comfortable, we not fighting. Now, Devin also has to be aware of, like, he can't be extreme. That 365 shit, all that shit he got, but they've already fell back off of that. But at the end of the day, I'm okay with Devin Haney having some respect for himself and not being so desperate for a fight with Ryan Garcia that Ryan Garcia is dictating all the ins and out of the situation. No, we're not doing that.
That's fine. At the end, this is the way I'll transition us out of this conversation. So again, I'm only going off of what I'm seeing in live time. And the ring, and this is great, Sam. This is an awesome question, actually. This might be able to answer let me land this real quick. If number 3 is Stanionis, and I've been telling you about this, Clay, that I have my spidey senses are telling me that a Stanionis announcement will happen soon for Zuffa Boxing, right? Mm-hmm. If Ryan is doing, if what Ryan is saying is I'm fighting in July, I heard about a Zuffa Boxing title happening in July. Don't want to say, I don't want to out anyone on this one. What if a part of that Zuffa Boxing title happening in July is Ryan Garcia versus Stanionis for the first ever Zuffa Boxing 147 pound? Now you got the number 3 and the number 4 guy fighting. Winner of that will become number 1 or number 2, depending on however Haney does against Rolly. And let's assume that Haney beats Rolly. Well, Haney's number 1. The winner of Ryan Stanionis with the new Zuffa Boxing belt becomes number 2. That's for the Ring Magazine title right there. So, like it or not, with these games, right? Whether or not Ryan has to drop the WBC, which I honestly don't think he cares about. I think he's going to move like how Jai Opetai is moving. At the end of the day, it's all still about the Ring Magazine belt. So I'll tell you what, Devin Haney, I'm going to see you later when you're ready, Devin, to make a deal. I'm gonna see you later. Either way, I'm good, bro. I'm gonna play golf. I'm gonna surf.
I think I have no issue one way or the other. I'm actually very okay with Ryan Garcia carrying himself the way he is. I think he has a right to. I think he's earned it. I think he's earned that type of leverage in the conversation. But I also have absolutely no problem with Devin Haney's stance. I don't think it's jeopardizing anything. I don't think it represents Devin Haney as a duck, as the space is saying. I think if you know, you know, and if you don't, you speculate, right?
Right.
I think clearly Devin Haney knows, and you can tell by the way he's carrying himself that he's in full aware mode, and he's very transparent about, I don't got to fight Ryan right now, just like he ain't got to fight me right now.
Right.
Let him. All he can do, if he wins, the more successful he is, the bigger our fight is when it finally happens. The more money is going to be on the table. So do your thing. But the idea of the pressure and the onus being all on my shoulders to kowtow to a Ryan Garcia in order to make this fight, we're going to shoot that balloon clean out the sky right now. And the way we're going to do it is, I'm going to go fight Rolly right now. So while you're laughing, keep laughing, go fight Shakur, because the reality is you got yourself a fight on your hands. I'm going to go do what I got to do.
Or Stanionis, Clay.
Whatever it is you choose to do, go do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't drop the ball again like you did with Rolly. Make sure you win, my brother. Keep on winning. I'm going to make sure I keep on winning, and then we'll see each other later on down the road. But I'll tell you what, brother, you drop that ball again. Anyway, that being said, Sam from Jersey.
Go ahead. I was going to say that.
Sam from Jersey with the $10 says, Clay and Angelo, please let me know if Devin or Ryan legacy moves up by having the rematch, barring who wins and loses.
Let me go. Go ahead. You go then.
100.
Go ahead.
100% Yes, that is a legacy fight in this era. Quite frankly, one of the biggest fights that could be made right now. There's no question that fight goes in the history books. That fight may put Ryan Garcia into the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? A victory for Ryan Garcia in this fight puts Ryan Garcia in a whole nother conversation. A clean victory, right? Puts him in a whole nother conversation. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. But
no, the way I was gonna answer it, Sam, and you're super supportive too. So thanks always for supporting the channel. Imagine if when Roberto Duran beat Sugar Ray Leonard, there was never a rematch and it never happened. Right? But what did Sugar Ray do? Sugar Ray did the whole I'm the A side, I'm gonna force you to do it, forces Duran to do it. He does, and again, not taking away from Sugar Ray, the no mas or whatever, and all that good stuff. But there's documentaries out there saying Duran was never even really ready for that fight, and you kind of forced his hand. And then when he wanted the third fight, you waited over 10 years for that third fight to finally happen. So that's those A-side, B-side games getting played back then, right? But when Roberto Duran beat Sugar Ray Leonard the first time, no matter what all the controversies are about it, at the end of the day, that's one of the reasons why we always think of Roberto Duran as a top 5, top 3 type all-time great, right?
Right.
Ryan Garcia, man, like it or not, Austrian, whatever. Look, you and I had a long-ass conversation about how you believe John Jones is the greatest of all time. Fact of the matter is, that fool tested twice for steroids on title fights. So is he the greatest of all time? Is he? Because, you know, so
hey,
that's
John
what
Bones.
I'm saying. Is there's plenty of people out there right now for Ryan Garcia popping for Austrian, and they all sit there, Sam from Jersey, and they say, nah, Ryan Garcia really beat his ass. And in order for Haney to ever rectify that, he's going to need to beat Ryan's ass. So this is why Ryan Garcia always sits there, brother, and says, my legacy's good. My legacy's good. And yes, if we do fight each other, it will solidify. Yeah,
the PV is not hurting Ryan at all, and that's why I'm saying I appreciate Ryan's position. His position is I don't give a damn about it either. I don't need the rematch either. I don't have these pressures on me. I respect both guys where they stand in the conversation. Personally, I really do. I think Ms. Van Houter had a good question here. I want to address it because I want to speak to it. But let me bring up H Town's super chat, man. Shout out to my guy H Town. I know he kicking my ass right now, but I appreciate the love.
Hey, we love you, H-Town.
H is going to come with that shit. He says, Ron is also rich, living a multi-millionaire life. That's not a good stance to have with the guy that made you cheat. I appreciate the spelling of it. Thank you for respecting the algorithm. The guy that made you cheat your pants in the ring. It's not. You know, you ever see that movie Hitch?
Yes, of course. Love that movie.
Okay, there was a scene in there where Will Smith talks to the girl, and the girl is having an issue with Will Smith, right? Finds out Will Smith is involved in the one that set it up, right? And she's like, I don't know, I don't want to do this with you.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah. And Will Smith said something significant in that part, right? He goes, you know something? The reality is we don't have to be with each other.
Right.
I'm pretty sure when I'm going to go in my direction, you're going to go in your direction.
And everything's going to be fine.
I'm going to be successful and do the things I want to do in my life. And you're going to turn around and you're going to be successful. So this is something that we both just need to want to do for it to make sense.
And you know what's funny though, before you do that is if you guys who did watch Hitch, he was really doing that as a front because at the end of the day, Hitch really did want to be with the girl, just like at the end of the day, Haney really does want to rematch with Ryan.
Yeah, but the girl, but also the girl really wanted to be with Hitch. So
yes, that's true too. That's true too.
What Hitch has said, and the reason I bring that up is to say that if Ryan wants to fight, if the payday makes sense to him and he wants to prove to himself or maybe to some fans or whoever, if he feels like that fight is something necessary, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You know, we saw this happen with Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, where Terrence Crawford had to be honest with Errol and say, brother, if you feel like I need this fight so bad that I'm just going to take anything, I'll go right now. I will retire an undisputed champion. I will retire, probably going to the Hall of Fame with what I've done already. But if you want to hit that next level, if you want to jump into other conversations and that means something to you, let me know. And what ended up happening?
Yeah,
got that fire out. He got that flyer out to he got that message, that kite sent to Terrence Crawford and said, we got you, brother, 50-50. So beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I have no problem with Ryan Garcia being a millionaire, living his best life. What I'm saying is Devin is living his life as well. And if it doesn't happen, and if it can't happen in a way to where the worst case scenario, if Devin Haney loses this rematch, if he allowed the negotiations to go somewhere, he's going to look back and have regret and be like, I let this dude play me again. And Devin is saying that's not going to be the case this time. This time we're going to play across the board in an even, fair playing field, and we're going to figure out who's the best between me and you. I clearly think I'm better than you. You think you're better than me. There's no issues with that. But it's okay. It's okay. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And I don't think there's anything wrong with Devin Haney taking that stance. I just don't see it. I don't see why him having some respect for himself. Ms. Van Houten says, Clay, what do you mean Ryan earned it? What I mean is, Ms. Van Houten, what I'm saying is, no matter how people might want to feel about what Ryan Garcia has, he has that. Do you understand what I mean by that? If I'm driving a foreign, a Bentley, and somebody just gave it to me, whatever, it's mine. And you can't fault me for leveraging whatever privilege comes with me driving a Bentley, whatever that is. Whether that's it gets me in, it doesn't matter how I got it. I earned it because I have it. I didn't steal it. I was given an opportunity. Maybe the reality is people have an issue with me wielding my leverage, my brand, my privilege to be in a situation where I can come up with a loss with Rolly Romero, get into another fight with Mario Barrios, directly into a fight with Mario Barrios for a championship belt, dominate that guy for 12 rounds, walk out, I'm a champion. However you want to look at the route I took, it's mine. It's a status I've earned, and I'm going to wield it accordingly to however it benefits me the best. So Ryan earned it. He earned his right to take the stance that he's taking, and he's doing it more through action than through anything else. He's showing you. People don't care about all that stuff you want them to care about. What they care about is, I'm exciting, and now I'm a champion. Everybody wants to get a fight with me. I got a fight with Shakur Stevenson lined up to make some money. I could probably make some other fights. Whoever I call to fight me is probably going to fight me because of who I am. He's earned it. He's earned it. We could disagree with it as far as the route he took or whatever. However anybody wants to feel about it, it's his. It's still his, man. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. He fought Southpaw Manny. Listen, you're not. I don't want to be, because I'll do it because I'm not a big Ryan Garcia. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not taking away.
We're trying to debate the point. Is what we're doing.
He said,
right
what
now,
did he
guys.
actually earn without it being given? Brother, listen. He beat the brakes off of the champion Mario Barrios for 12 rounds, bro. He earned that belt. That belt was around Mario Barrios' waist. He took it off his waist. That's his belt, bro. You know what I'm saying? People, you know what I mean? It is what it is. I can't, you know, we can't change history. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah, we can get into the particulars where you feel like he doesn't deserve that, but this is boxing. And maybe that can segue into this next conversation, right? Maybe we use that to segue into this next conversation, which is Jai Opetai, right? I kind of wanted to do the Usyk thing just a little bit as well.
Yeah, let's do the Usyk thing.
A little bit, right? Let's try to be light about it, but I do want to talk about this WBC stance in this fight here. Speaking on people earning championship fights and all these different things. Rico, what's his name again? Van Houten?
No. Don't do that. Don't do that to our guy. Rico Verhoeven is the way you pronounce his name.
Rico Verhoeven, one professional fight in his career.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, Mozzie Van Houten would knock the hell out of Rico Verhoeven. That's how I feel about it.
Very possible.
All right, Mozzie would kill that guy in boxing. In boxing, respectful.
Possible, very possible. There's a likeliness of that. I definitely could co-sign that. But he's got one professional fight in his career, 2014 sometime. Over 10 years later.
Professional boxing fight. He is the king of kickboxing, though.
He's a combat sport legend in his own right. He has his own accomplishments where it makes him a legend in his own right. Which, by the way, I want to go on the record to say I have no problem with this fight at all. The problem I have is what we're going to be talking about. Because shout out to Rico Verhoeven, however you say his name. He's a exceptional combat athlete. He is. But I digress and go back to the fact that this man fought one professional fight in his career, and the professional fight he had was over 10 years ago. And here he is walking into an opportunity to become a WBC champion. You know, for the people in the building who might not understand the significance of that, because I'm sure that some people would like to compare it to some other situations, right? Which I don't know what you would compare it to, but that's another whatever. None of the other sanctioning bodies are involved in this fight.
Yes.
They've decided that
yes,
we're not sanctioning this.
Yep. And in fact, it's been said too, Clay, before you make your whole point, both the IBF and the WBA said we might have to strip you when this fight happens. Like after the fight, we might actually have to strip you because you didn't do a voluntary for our belts. That's 100%. What they're saying. Yeah.
100%, right? So here we are in another situation, and unfortunately, at some point or another, it's going to seem like we're a Mauricio Suleiman hate channel, right? Because we're just always on this side of highlighting the nonsense that this man is doing. And respectfully, I'm trying my best to give you the space to do your thing, Mauricio. But I got to call bullshit yet again on something you're doing in the boxing space, where the other sanctioning bodies have found this is a exhibition level fight. This is a great, you know, one for the books. You know what I mean? This is one of those fights. Shout out to Rico, but Rico hasn't earned a right to fight for our belt. Shout out to those sanctioning bodies for having some integrity about themselves, because they've all had their moments, as we will segue into a moment of another sanctioning body who's having a moment right now, right? But specifically speaking on Mauricio Suleiman and his position right now, that he's going to make this fight a title fight. Give me a take, man. Give me a take. Talk to me, man. What the hell are we looking at in real time?
Guys, you know, again, we're going to make this short because we're on short time, but please check out Read the Ring episode 4, because we did our entire long take about this, how this is stupid. And it should be, this is just the WBC being the WBC wanting their money. And then after we did that episode, Mauricio probably heard our episode and other people's episodes, basically calling him a money grabber. And then what happened? He says, oh, no. It's actually not for the world title fight. We're going to have a special event belt for it with Egypt and pyramids on it and blah, blah, blah. And then like less than 8 hours later, he went, actually, we had a meeting with the entire board of directors of the WBC, and we are putting it as a world title fight. So our episode 4 stands as good as it is. You guys should check it out. I think Usyk doesn't care. Usyk's the Ring Magazine champion, just like Jai Opetai is the Ring Magazine champion. And at the end of the day, everybody knows that Usyk's the best heavyweight in the world. I think Usyk has now gotten to a point of his career where he's like, fuck them belts. Right? Pardon my French. And that's where he's at now. He's kind of like,
well, okay, but okay. So you're seeing it. I agree with you 100% about the Usyk stance, right? My thing is, as far as the travesty of the way Mauricio Suleiman is wielding his position with the WBC, the money grab situation that clearly this one highlights it more than anything, because the other sanctioning bodies have removed themselves from this conversation. They're like, we can do a lot of things, and we are always willing to do a lot of things, but this one is just too much for us. Why isn't it too much for Mauricio? And shout out to the board of people that Mauricio has, that he's saying,
that talked them back into letting it be a world title fight.
Right. Shout out to those guys. I'm sure it has nothing to do with money. I'm sure that board didn't sit there and be like, what? How much money you about to make? No, we need to be involved in that. We need to collect the sanction fee off that, right? But in this atmosphere that we're in right now, how diabolical it is that this man can't read the room to where he would allow his name to be in a conversation like this again.
Yep.
I mean, once again, the whole space is buzzing.
Right.
Shout out to Ade Adolopo. Shout out to all these different pundits in the space.
Leo Go, Adam Catterall,
right.
Talk Sports, Simon.
They're all saying the same thing. They're all like, what in the world are you doing, Mauricio?
Right.
He's so deaf to what's going on in real time. It's embarrassing.
Right.
It's embarrassing at this point that you want people to take this belt seriously, and you're moving like this. Let me deal with the super chat right quick because it's an old conversation.
Yeah.
Robert Chandler, shout out to you, my guy, man. Long time no see, man. Good to see you in the building, man. Says if Ryan takes a Shakur fight and gets whooped for 12 rounds, goes back to 147 WBC champ, does the Dev fight still have a huge demand with casuals?
Yeah. Yes. The answer to that, the short answer to it is yes.
The short answer is yes, but I do think in its own way, I think it takes away a little bit. I don't think it holds the same. I think Ryan losing is not a good thing for this fight. You know what I'm saying? They'll steer the narrative into the weight cut, and they'll say that, you know, this is the reasons. They'll try to, you know, work it out to where that loss doesn't hold as much weight as it does. And they'll say, you know, obviously Shakur is a pound for pound fighter, this and that, number 3 on the list. This is, you know, anybody could lose this, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, Ryan shouldn't lose, man. He should try his best not to lose.
No, I mean, and by the way, Robert, I don't think Ryan's trying to lose if he went down and wait to fight Shakur. I think that's an epic fight. I think he's really going to show up for it. I think Shakur will do his best. I think it'll be a good show. And if Shakur dominates him the way Shakur dominated Tio, that just shows how great Shakur really is. But I don't think it takes away from the fact that everyone, including all the casual sports fans, watched Ryan Garcia beat the brakes out of Devin Haney. So that's never going to lose its appeal, man. It won't. The casual sports fans will be shown a tape from 2024, and then they're going to do the whole revenge story pitch, and everybody will be back on board. So no. Like I said, short answer, no. No.
I think that he shouldn't lose. You know what I mean, Tom? Because I just think he don't do it, man.
Well, if he fights Stanionis, he probably won't lose. And if he fights Stanionis for the Zuffa boxing belt, we're gonna have a whole different conversation about Haney Garcia.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, shout out to everybody in the building, man. Hit the like button as you're stepping into the building. Subscribe to the channel for sure. Fist of the Black Star says if Ryan makes 140 for Shakur years after missing weight for Devin, he should be raked over the coals. It won't matter, but he will. He's gonna do it. He's gonna make the weight. And bottom line is, Ryan Garcia blew that weight on purpose. He did everything he did with strategy in mind. And I'll be honest with you, if you want me to give you my real take on it, he was scared. He was scared. He was nervous. There's parts of me that feels like he was literally trying to sabotage the fight. He was literally trying to make the fight not happen. He was trying to get the New York State Athletic Commission to pull him out of the fight. He was trying to get Devin Haney. He was hoping Devin Haney might see the 3.5 pounds and maybe he would pull out the fight. I think he was doing all those things in the spirit of the fight not happening. Was he scared of Devin? Like he thought Devin was going to whoop his ass? Maybe. Maybe he had some moments of insecurity in his own mind to where he felt like he wasn't as good of a fighter. Maybe he was scared of, okay, I lost to Gervonta Tank Davis. Now I lose against Devin Haney. What is that going to mean for my career? Maybe he was having personal mental health issues with his family, with his training situation. Maybe he was just having a crisis in his life. For whatever reason, Ryan Garcia put that fight at the bottom of his list of things to do and made it and showed and proved in the way he acted about it how disinterested and disenchanted he was with that fight at that time. So it is what it is, right? He'll make the weight. If he's going to do this fight with Shakur, he's going to make the weight. You know why he's going to make the weight? Because he knows Shakur's not going to play with him. If he comes in 2-3 pounds, Shakur's going to tell him to go home. Shakur's going to say, yeah, we're not fighting. I don't care what nobody thinks. You're not tricking me out of my position. Shakur is too smart for that. And like Shakur said in that interview, he says, I don't know what Ryan is thinking, but one thing he should know for sure, I'm not Devin. He said that. I'm not Devin. And he meant that in every angle of the word. I'm not going to fall for that left hook. And I'm not going to get tricked into you coming in 3.5 pounds over the weight limit. You're not going to come in with a dirty P test. You're not going to play with me, bro. I'm too smart for that. And I value my career too much to allow that to happen. You're going to have to come in the right way, and you're going to have to beat me the way you're telling people you can beat me. You're not going to trick me out of nothing. You know what I mean? No mind games here. Doesn't it doesn't hold no weight. Shout out to Sam from Jersey with the $5. Says, does the sanctioning bodies know Zuffa is only going to get more popular? Why are boxers loyal? That's 2 questions, right? So it says, does the sanctioning bodies know Zuffa is only going to get more popular?
The answer to that is yes.
Undoubtedly. That's why we're about to get into that, right? And why are boxers loyal to the PBC? Because Al Haymon showed fighters a lot of love. Shout out to Al Haymon, because one thing he did for sure was
Floyd.
Floyd now, but back then was a different conversation, right? Floyd had a different point of view. One thing Al Haymon did a great job at is benefiting fighters. He put fighters first over the promotional companies. Fighters made the most money they ever made with Al Haymon. He made sure they got to the bag. They all say the same thing. I've talked to fighters who say, man, I love Al Haymon. He did a good job of getting that respect. And I think that's why the community respects Al Haymon so much, that do respect him, right? The PBC fans, the people who are, because there's legitimate PBC fans outside of a fighter who are here for the PBC. And the reason is because Al Haymon almost was like a Robin Hood. He went to the big execs, he went to the tables, he collected money from the tables, and he dispersed it accordingly amongst the fighters. Made himself a whole lot of money as well, but fighters will always respect that. And that's where it comes from. You know, we don't need to, for me personally, I have no vested interest in kicking Al Haymon in his back or painting him as something he doesn't need to be. I think his business model was a failing model. I think the way he approached it was not, you know, he wasn't looking down the road and saying, I want the bigger picture. He capitalized and won in his season, but it aged like milk, unfortunately, because now the PBC is having a hard time keeping up with that model and keeping their fighters busy and keeping them paid. But why are boxers loyal to the PBC? Because the PBC made a lot of millionaires, bro. They made a lot of millionaires, bro, and they'll never forget that, bro. And they shouldn't forget that. You shouldn't forget that. You know what I mean? That's why David Benavidez will always say, bro, I'm going to always respect what Al Haymon did for my career. He always says that. He's back over here trying to help Al Haymon out. He doesn't need to be doing this fight over with the PBC. He could continue to leverage the Turkey relationship. He can continue to move in different directions, but so is Tank Davis, all those guys. They're going to always wait, be patient, and try to see if Al can put him in position, because they want to help Al out. Al's down right now. The PBC's down right now. You're not going to see their biggest stars just leave like that. They'll leave for a moment and go do something somewhere else real quick, but they're going to come back. They're going to come back and they're going to try to help Al out. And there's some honor in that, man. There's some honor in that.
Right. Hey, and then Sam from Jersey, I mean, you know, transitioning into this sanctioning bodies stuff that we just touched upon to WBC. I mean, even just, you know, Clay started the show on his monologue with this, but how is Javier Herrera getting skipped? And someone explained that one, right? Javier Herrera just won in January for the WBC interim 135-pound title. And then everybody's just acting like he didn't exist at all. And the belt is vacant, which is why it's so confusing for the casual space, which is why Dana White has a very strong narrative of reteaching and reintroducing boxing to the casual sports fans. Starting with Sunday, the inaugural Zuffa Boxing Championship. I'll be there live. Clay Moraine will be doing the watch party live. And yeah, man, I'm not going to miss history, Clay. I'm not missing history. I was there for Crawford Canelo, and I will be there for the very first person to ever get that nice 70+ carat diamond, chrome, leather with the gunmetal Zuffa boxing belt that looks so pretty. And, you know, I don't know. As we're talking right now, so guys, please don't eviscerate us if the IBF all of a sudden announces that the IBF is going to be working with Dana White. But as of right now, and I've been looking this whole time, there is no news about the IBF agreeing to allowing Jai Opetai and not stripping him. So the conversation we're about to have is the stripping.
We're literally about to have that conversation right now.
Okay.
Shout out to HLD says, you mean Shakur not going to put over what he did to Conceição missing weight? Yup, that's exactly what I mean. And then he said, why didn't Boots appreciate what Al did for him? He gives out the biggest paydays. Yeah, bro, he didn't. He moved on. He went to Matchroom, right? I mean, the ones who know. The guys who got paid. The ones who didn't don't have that loyalty to Al. But if the question is about the fighters, if the question is about the fighters who stay there, like a Jamel Charlo, like maybe an Errol Spence, like a David Benavidez, like a Gervonta Tank Davis, like these fighters who you're seeing not be as active as they probably should be and could be, that's the answer to it as far as the relationship Al Heyman has with those fighters. Not the whole PBC roster, but because a lot of people have left the PBC roster. Trust me, you just haven't heard about it. They're not there. They're moving around doing things as well. But the ones that are there, the big stars, they're there because he was able to get them those paydays. He just was. You know what I'm saying? He did his job. So let's segue into this. Opetai getting ready to fight for the Zuffa belt on Sunday. The first Zuffa belt. By the way, nice belt. A lot of diamonds. Nice belt. Nice belt. Different belt. Very different from the traditional sense of what we know boxing belts to be, like these that are around me. Doesn't look anything like these belts, but very true to the brand of Dana White, to the, you could say the UFC if you want to. That's fair.
You know what it is? It looks closer to the baddest MFer belt.
Right. But I'm saying the design is, if you see it, you immediately know. If you've never, that looks like a UFC belt. Like, it's true to Dana White's brand and how he does stylistically, but a nice belt. But that being said, Opetai getting ready to fight for that first cruiserweight, for that title. That first title is going to be crossing hands, and it's for the cruiserweight championship. And the IBF draws a line in the sand and takes a position in this.
We don't know yet. We don't know the exact position.
Rumors is circulating through the space that the IBF is weighing out whether or not they're going to take a certain position in this conversation. But I think just the idea of the topic being brought up shows a significance. And shout out to, I want to say it was from Sam from Jersey, who's asking about, I think it was Sam, who's asking about, is the sanctioning bodies worried about Zuffa, or do they recognize that Zuffa is getting ready to become popular? This move right here speaks to that, right?
Right.
This is one of those moves where if they were to, and they got to be careful right now because you're treading on choppy waters right now. And the weather, if you go this way, you might run into a storm, bro, and get swallowed up by the ocean. But if you go this way, you might live to fight another day. Where do you stand right now as far as where we are right now, and what does this mean as you're looking at it develop in real time? We're 3 days away, 2 days away from the fight.
If you guys really just, if you pay attention to the biggest trending news in combat sports, period, with Tom Aspinall signing a management contract, talent management, to Eddie Hearn, is this whole Eddie versus Dana, old traditional way of doing boxing to new way of doing boxing, and the sanctioning bodies with, WBC's moving in a way where it's like a fire sale for them, right? Oh, okay, yeah, sure, we'll go ahead and get the sanctioning fees for Verhoeven. Don't worry about Javier Herrera. He'll be all right. He paid us the sanctioning fees, and now we can get Lamont Roach and ZEPEDA to pay us a sanctioning fee, right? So now we've gotten to a point where here's the IBF, and I still have not really found any part of their bylaw book that states, they can do whatever they want, but if they really just strip Opetai, who has been their best champion, who is recognized as one of the best fighters in the entire world, who is the Ring Magazine cruiserweight champion of the world, if they strip him, and the only reason why they strip him has nothing to do with getting paid sanctioning fees, nothing to do with defending titles, and it's all because they're fighting for the Zuffa. Opetai is fighting for the Zuffa boxing belt. That's going to draw a line in the sand the other way. Because I know you said the IBF might be drawing the line in the sand, but honestly, you're forcing Opetai hand, the same guy who has been a great champion for you, the same guy that he himself, Opetai, said Eddie Hearn couldn't do jack squat for me. In fact, he was telling people that he was losing money on me. He was talking crap about me. Then the minute I leave him, he wants his fighter to fight me. How does that make sense, right? And Jai's done with it. So what Jai wants to do is beat the heck out of everyone. I'm sure he's looking forward to being a Riyadh ambassador after this fight. if he wins it spectacularly. And if that happens, Claymore, then all this does, if the IBF makes a haste move, is push the narrative faster of, do these sanctioning belts really even matter anymore? And why are high-level fighters like Jai Opetai even paying for them? Because they're just jewelry at this point. I'm paying a sanctioning fee so I can have jewelry, but it doesn't actually matter. Ask Javier Herrera. He just got an interim title and now he's getting skipped over. Ask everybody who Ryan Garcia skipped over. Ask everybody who Rolly skipped over to fight for the WBA title, like Shakram Giyasov. You know what I'm trying to say, right? What does the sanctioning belts matter? And now, if the IBF wants to join the party, Claymore, hey, you guys already got investigated by the FBI back in the 90s anyway. So if you want to go ahead and join this party too and go against the movement, go right ahead.
Right. At some point or another, the sanctioning bodies are going to have to, they need to self-reflect. They need to self-reflect on what's happened for the past 10 plus years or so, because I feel like it's been inside of the last 10 years. It's really gotten really bad. And they need to stop self-sabotaging themselves. They need to start thinking that. They need to start understanding that there is a war going on outside. But the way you deal with the war and win the war is not by stripping champions of their titles who haven't lost inside the ring. That should be the last thing you want to do. You know, for those situations where a champion is unbecoming of a champion or not defending his title, and, you know, where the rules apply, the rules apply. But this move right here is a very thin ice. And you're putting yourself in a situation to where you're going to have boxers questioning. You're putting yourself in a situation where boxers are having an issue with you. It's one thing to have Dana White come from the outside and shine some light on some legitimacies of these belts and things of that nature. But when you're having boxers having to come out and be like, what the hell? It's not a good look. When you got Terrence Crawford, like, what the hell? When you got Shakur, like, what the hell? When you got Keyshawn, like, what the hell? And now you might have Jai Opetai, like, what in the hell? When you have these situations coming out this way, it's not playing into your hand. So I think we're dealing with what's being exposed is we're dealing with some sanctioning body. We're dealing with some people who have been disconnected from the boxing space for way too long, and it's being exposed. They're not reading the room. They're smiling, they're laughing, they think it doesn't matter, but it's becoming an issue. It does matter. And the sooner you guys can read the room, the better off you guys will be coming off, because the reality is I don't think the fix is hard. I don't think it's far gone yet. All you need to do is stick to the rules, enforce the mandatories, and do your job, and make sure whoever holds your belt really is the best in that division. If you're not going to do that, then this is going to be a very uphill battle, and it's going to take you guys working together to a certain degree, right? It's going to take you guys holding each other accountable to a certain degree. So shout out to those sanctioning body belts who are not involved in the Rico fight with Alexander.
The WBO, isn't, because they already Usyk already dropped that. He dropped the WBA belt? The WBO. I was talking about the WBO because as of right now,
he dropped the WBO belt.
As of right now, both the WBA and the IBF has not made a position yet on the Rico Verhoeven fight. So for all I know, the WBA could sit there and go, that's okay. We're not going to sanction it, but we're not going to strip away Usyk either. The IBF could do the very same thing.
Him. It's okay. You don't need to strip him.
But that's the whole point, though, Clay, is now you are in a predicament. Because let's take the Usyk fight that's going to happen in May 23rd. If you're the IBF and you strip Jai Opetai, how's it going to look if you don't strip Usyk either? You probably will strip Usyk if you strip Jai. But if you're not going to allow Jai to fight for a Zuffa boxing belt, and you're not going to allow him to pay you the sanctioning fees and follow all the rules right, and the reason why you're stripping him is because he's fighting for the Zuffa boxing belt, right? Okay. Well, then when Usyk fights Rico Verhoeven, and you guys didn't want to sanction that either, you also have to strip Usyk. Which, as long as you do, then I guess you're doing it across the board. But like you said, Clay, they're not reading the room, man. You're not reading the room right now because belts are diminishing every time you do something like this.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. With the Usyk situation, I'm not as black and white on it as you are, per se, because I saw Tyson Fury fight Francis Ngannou and no title be on the line. You know what I'm saying?
It was a 10-round fight, Claymore. It wasn't a 12-round fight. It was a 10-round fight.
Okay, whatever it was, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that in that situation in particular, I don't think I hold any issue with the IBF and the WBA not stripping Usyk. I would have a problem with them allowing that title to be on the line to give Rico what's his name again?
Rico Verhoeven.
Rico Verhoeven an opportunity of becoming a champion. This situation with Jai Opetai is an extreme one for me because it's like this man literally fights his mandatories, literally, like you said, checking the boxes, ready to pay the fees, literally your champion. Because he goes to another promotional company and you guys aren't a promotional company, you are a sanctioning body. Why in the world would you take that belt away from that man off the strength of him fighting with Zuffa? It becomes very personal with Zuffa, and it becomes very, and you're compromising the integrity of that belt when you do that. I personally think it's separate for me. I don't see him as the same, but I get what you're saying though. You're talking about
it's the same if they make a decision on Jai Opetai. If before Sunday we hear that Jai Opetai was stripped of the IBF, right? Mm-hmm. So he's no longer a champion at all, except for Zuffa boxing champion Claymore and Ring Magazine champion. Then that tells me already, if you're talking to a casual fan, casual sports fan, hey man, can you explain the belts to me? Well, it looks like the only one that matters is Ring Magazine championship because the best guy who was doing everything right, he got stripped for absolutely no reason at all other than the fact that the IBF was being petty. So the only belt that really matters here is the one that fighters don't have to pay for, and it's worth $200,000, and that's the Ring Magazine championship. So yeah, it will matter because if they strip Jai, then now they do have to strip Usyk. If they don't strip Jai, then they can do the whole, we're not sanctioning it, but we're not stripping him. Because they can do that to Jai right now. We're not going to sanction it, but we're not going to strip him either, right? That sounds a hell of a lot better than, hey, Shakur, pay us 3 times the amount that the WBO is charging you for a belt that's not even going to be mentioned on your fight against Teofimo Lopez. Make that make sense, Claymore.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's a little different for me. I think it's okay for Usyk. Me personally, I'm okay with Usyk fighting Rico and the sanctioning body's not sanctioning that fight and his belt not being on the line. You know what I'm saying?
I'm okay with that too, as long as the belts aren't on the line. But
yeah,
what do you do?
They're not on the line.
If you strip Jai, then you have to strip.
No, if you strip Jai, man, it's I mean, I guess to a degree, but if you strip, I don't care if you take it away from Usyk. You strip Jai off the strength of you can't. No, you know what I'm saying? That Jai situation is going to completely expose them in a way that's going to. They shouldn't do it, and I'm happy, and I'm seeing that. I think there's some hesitation in them doing it because they're clearly starting to see the writing on the wall. They see what it looks like. Shout out from Sam from Jersey with the $10 who says, "Don't mean to ask this again, but in your guys' honest opinion and heart of hearts, was Zuffa boxing monopolized boxing one day?" I don't think they will. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the sanctioning body belts will always be the sanctioning body belt. It's gonna take it would take so much cooperation from the sanctioning bodies to just continue to discredit themselves. I believe at some point or another, boxing is going to realize boxing needs to do better. And I'm talking about boxing. I'm talking about outside of Zuffa boxing. Right. But I do believe that Zuffa boxing will eventually be the number one, the biggest credible platform in the space. I believe their connection with Riyadh season, with Ring Magazine and those big events, I think they're going to, the thing about the traditional space is that the top 3% or so of the boxing space make a lot of money from it. But the reality is the bottom 95, 97%, they don't see it. Zuffa is providing a platform and a vehicle for all those guys to get their credibility. And the thing about it is they're going to build up a lot of high quality fighters, and stars are going to come out of Zuffa, and they will start to defeat the champions that the sanctioning bodies are putting there. And the reason they're going to start defeating them is because the fighters are going to be better. They are just going to be better fighters because of the development process. They're going to be better fighters because of the nutrition, because of the facility, because of the activity. They're going to be just better fighters. They're not going to be artificially flavored. They're not going to be match make in a perfect way that gets him into becoming a champion. And you're going to start to see levels if the sanctioning bodies don't start holding true to their purpose, which is allowing the best to fight the best. That's what your job is, literally. The promoters don't have to do that. They would be wise to do that, but they don't have to. But the sanctioning body's job is to find the best, because that's what the champion is supposed to be, the best. But if you're allowing the movement to get around that, they're going to get exposed on that big stage in Riyadh season, because Turkey will always be able to pay a champion more money than a regular promotional company will pay them. So keep in mind that a WBC champion is never going to turn away from fighting on a Turkey card. But as Turkey has already built himself up a reputation for doing, you're going to fight the best fighter on a Turkey card. Get ready for the upset. Shout out to Raymond Ford. Shout out to, those. I remember when the space was bubbling, saying, watch out, don't go on those Turkey cards, you're going to lose. David Morrell hasn't had an easy fight since he left that PBC banner and started fighting. He's been struggling. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of fighters who've kind of been struggling in that area. So eventually, I believe Zuffa Boxing will have the best fighters in the world.
Well, and my answer to it, Sam, is it's only a monopoly if there's no other choice. So there'll always be other choices, right? It's like when they say, well, the UFC is a monopoly, but you can go to the PFL. You could do what Francis Ngannou did, Sam, and leave and go fight boxing, right? Look at what's happening with Virgil Ortiz right now. How is the Virgil Ortiz scenario any different than what happens to, let's say, any of the MMA fighters, right? It's the same scenario. You signed a contract. If you're trying to get out of that contract, like Ngannou was able to just kind of be like, no, I'm good, right? So at the end of the day, it's only a monopoly if you don't have a choice. I think that boxing is such a popular sport globally that there will always be other choices, right? Zuffa Boxing themselves can't sign thousands of boxers, okay? Just like even in their UFC roster, I think they only got up to 400 UFC athletes, maybe even less than that, because they can't sign every MMA fighter in the world. So what they do is they have a contender series. They invite 14 new MMA athletes from different organizations to go complete at the contender series, and the winner of that might get a UFC contract. So the same, Dana White has already mentioned he's going to do the same exact thing for Zuffa Boxing. So no, Sam, I don't think it'll ever be a monopoly. I do believe that Zuffa Boxing by the end of 2026 is the only real boxing space that you're going to hear the casual sports fans talk about. I'm talking about NFL fans and NBA fans and hockey fans. That's the only real one they're going to know, and it's the only real one they're going to follow, similar to the UFC. That, because when you talk about, it's funny to me how MMA is the sport, Claymore. It's mixed martial arts, but almost no one calls it that because they all think UFC is the sport.
Yeah, they think UFC is the sport.
UFC
you're a UFC fighter? Like, no, I'm over at PFL. But yeah, but you're a UFC fighter. You know what I'm talking about. Like, I do know what you're talking about, but no.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Shout out to let me see here, zero giving. Zuffa Boxing, once again, salute. Zuffa Boxing is definitely going to be a major force, especially in the U.S. Monopolizing boxing isn't realistic. Sport has too many belts in internal markets for one company to control. 100%. They'll never monopolize it. And if they were to, if that would have ended up happening, once again, you'd have to blame the promoters, the sanction bodies would have to fail so bad. Like, it would almost be, I would almost say, conspiracy worthy conversation. Like, these guys
failed.
Yeah, like they you know what I'm trying to say? If it got that bad, it'd be like, hold on, bro. Right. Nah, if they continue, because some of the stuff that Mauricio's doing gives that energy a little bit. Because some of it is just like, are you doing this on purpose? Like, you know what I'm saying? Are you having these stances on purpose? Like, even Dana had to be like, bro, like, he's laughing, but it's like, you can't be serious. Like,
right.
I don't know if I could have paid you
money to do
some
this
of the things you're saying. Like, did somebody Turkey? I know he had to have a conversation with Turkey. Are you shooting him a back and not telling me? Like, are you fixing the game? You know what I'm saying? I can win this. I don't need you to fix it. Turkey's like, no, my friend. Like, I'm serious, bro. Don't fix this game. I'm going to be insulted if I find out you're fixing this, bro. I'm a very ego-driven person, bro, and I don't want the win to come any other way but me knocking that dude out. I don't want him taking the knee, fall on his face.
I want him comfortable. I want him comfortable.
Yeah, if I hit nothing but air and this dude goes to sleep, I'm gonna get in my feelings. I'm gonna get in my feelings. It is what it is. Anyways, it's about that time. We're about close to the time to wrap it up. I wanna ask you, how do you feel about, because here comes another sanctioning body conversation. Lamont Roach, William ZEPEDA fighting over the vacant WBC title. By the way, first of all, before Reyes goes into his rant, shout out to Lamont Roach. Congratulations, bro. I'm a big fan. And hey, bro, you're supposed to take the opportunity. Shout out to you. I'm very happy and excited for you, by the way. Rooting for you to win that fight and become a champion, brother. That being said, Reyes,
first of all, Lamont, we want nothing but the best for you. We're big fans of you. We believe you beat Think. I know I do. And I believe you beat Pitbull too. So you're just, you know, it's criminal that you're not even holding one of those belts right now. At the end of the day, brother, all I want to say to you is, I hope this one works out too, and you don't get screwed. But if you do get screwed or you're not happy with that current system, I'd like for you to consider calling Uncle Dana and go get that 135 title. Rayo Valenzuela is waiting. So go get that 135 title for Zuffa and get paid like Jai, Opetai, and Connor Ben. So that being said, diabolical again, WBC, that I just watched. Javier Herrera, you made this guy pay a fee. Why did he pay you this fee? Why? What was the point? That could have just been a regular fight. But you guys, like, you know what I'm saying, Clay? Like, they teased this kid to make him think he's going to be one of their guys. You're going to be one of the champs. This is going to help you get an Abdullah Mason fight. This doesn't help him get anything, dude. They literally skipped him over. So it's like, thanks for the money. Gotcha, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, it was terrible, dude. This is awful. So I'm sorry, Javier Herrera. I'm sorry, Frank Warren, that you guys ever even believed in the WBC this way. Good for you, William ZEPEDA. I mean, sure, man, you got your ass whooped, but apparently that allows you to have a direct title fight for a vacant title right off the grip. I might have been okay if this was Javier Herrera versus William ZEPEDA. So I don't include like Lamont Roach in this conversation at all. I think Lamont Roach should have already been the WBA champion. If we're being forward with this. So yeah, nah, man. It's not your fault, Lamont. So go get yours. It's not your fault. But like I said, brother, there's more money at Zuffa Boxing. So come on down. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Another shot at just inconsistent. But you know, I got it. You know me. Sometimes when I think about it, I got to say what it is. It's not inconsistent. It's actually very consistent at this point. To your brand. You know what I'm saying? This is what you guys do, and you guys got to change this, man. It's too many belts. Javier Herrera is an interim champion. There's arguments there to say that he should just be elevated, like Mario Barros was, right? But fine, don't elevate him. I'm sure he doesn't want to be elevated. But how is he not involved in a conversation about who the WBC champions is going to be after a belt has been vacated? What are we talking about? How does this end up being William ZEPEDA coming off of a loss? He challenged for the WBC title and lost. How is he back into another fight for the WBC championship against Lamont Roach, who has not even been active at 135? All he has is a draw with Gervonta Tank Davis at 135. Shout out to Lamont Roach. Respectfully, how in the world is Javier Herrera not part of this conversation? I don't care what anybody says. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. It's an issue. It's an issue, and they got to start taking themselves more seriously. Shout out to Leonard Sterling, 5627. I believe, is that a euro? Hey, man, salute, man. I appreciate you, man. 3-bout main Zuffa cards. Where would you put Zuffa 4? I've got first, Zuffa 2, second, Zuffa 4, third, Zuffa 3, 4th, Zuffa 1. I like
Yeah.
Opetai versus
Yeah.
Glenn and Salas versus Sriracha.
Yeah, Leonard, I would say Zuffa 1 is definitely last place right now.
Right.
Definitely last.
By design, by the way.
Yeah, and but for you guys who don't know the entire card for the Zuffa boxing on Sunday, just take our word for it. But if you want a good fight breakdown, Paulie Malignaggi and Chris Algieri did one. Me and Claymore didn't get to do one.
Right.
Again, Claymore will be doing the fight call for that.
We're trying to get better with it, guys. But
the entire card, though, up and down, is a really good card. Until we see the results, though, Leonard, I can't really put them in the rankings yet. The best one for me so far, I would say, was Zuffa 2. Just because, you know, like that there was a lot of bangers in that fight. And then Hot Rod got to come from behind against Vosdick. You had Rob Mary. It was Rob Merriweather was on the first one, I think, right? So the second one had Jaleel. But Jaleel looked really good in that fight. It's definitely, I'd have to put that as number one for now. But if I have to do it off of just what the rostering says, I have to put Zuffa 4 as number one, because it's the first ever inaugural Zuffa Boxing Championship, and the other three didn't have it. So I would have to put Zuffa 4 as number one. I would put Zuffa 2 as second best. Zuffa 3 was amazing, man. 8 fights, 6 knockouts, and then one of the fights that was not a knockout ended up being fight of the night. That was a great card. And if you're a casual sports fan who don't watch boxing and you don't know these people's names, it felt like a UFC fight. It felt like a UFC card. Like, oh my God, there's another knockout. And then there's another knockout, right? It was pretty crazy like that. So that's how I rank it. Leonard.
Right. I agree with you, man. I'd have to really think about it. I got to be honest with you. The last Zuffa card was a great one for me. I really enjoyed that one. We had some knockouts on there. This one right here, we'll see what it's going to be. I think it's on paper should be the best one. We'll see what the fights deliver. And yeah, I think it's pretty easy. Zuffa 2 is going to be that third from last, and Zuffa 1 is going to be the last one. Because Zuffa, and by design, once again, they purposely just put together fights on that one, but that was more like testing production and let's see, make sure everybody's on point. They did not give their best in that first event on purpose. So yeah, man.
Right.
No doubt.
Right.
Let me see here. HLD said the quality of opponents ZEPEDA lost to and Roach had draws with are all 10 times better than what Herrera has faced. That was the difference.
And and you know what, HLD, I agree with you on that. So explain to me again why they made the kid pay for an interim title. They should have just told the kid, sorry, you don't get to do that. You know?
Yeah. What I was gonna say is, what is this thing doing here? Hold on a second. Scratch. What I was gonna say is I agree with you 100%. 100% HLD, you're right. That is exactly why they did that, but that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Javier Herrera supposedly earned himself an interim title.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be next up, bro. But the whole idea of what you said is 100% true, but that's what's wrong with boxing, bro.
Exactly.
The idea that ZEPEDA, lost to, or the quality of opponent ZEPEDA lost to, opponent, because he only lost against Shakur Stevenson, and Roach had draws with, are all okay. Quality of opponents. All right, so what's the purpose of that damn interim title?
Exactly.
What's the purpose of it? And that's the hypocrisy of it all. You're collecting these fees, you're putting these belts around these fighters, and they shouldn't have these belts clearly. Or you don't even care. There's not even no value in the belts, but there's enough value to where you will take 3% of this man's purse.
Mm-hmm.
And we're at a crossroads in this conversation. And the crossroads is Zuffa's here. The crossroads is there's a path that's clear to the fighters on how they become champions. And in the traditional space we're in, it's all over the place. It's literally all over the place. And fighters have been dealing with so many years, and they've come to the understanding that this is what it is. But they're starting to get offered another option. And how's that going to affect the bottom line when it comes time to re-signing these fighters, extending contracts? How does that work out for these promoters? Let me see here. HLD says, so you don't think Herrera made more money due to the interim belt? You need to listen to Robert Garcia and what belt Zuffa fighters who happen to also be a Zuffa guy. I get it, bro, but he's not a champion. I get it. I get what the belt does.
He's also paying a fee for a belt that doesn't make you a champion.
So at the end of the day, if Javier Herrera can collect money on a Zuffa boxing platform and really still be true to his purpose, which is to become a champion, does he continue to take this route of being an interim champion and getting stepped over until he finally loses and never gets a chance to become a real champion? I don't know. I know that the belts bring that. I know that once you get a belt, it does add money to you. It does add money to you. I get it. I get the idea of it. But at the end of the day, the sanctioning bodies aren't being true to the game when they doing it like this. That's just why I'm at.
And HLD, at the end of the day, man, the old format has changed. Turkey Al-Sheikh came in and shook up the world by putting together best versus best. And in the last 2 years, we've seen better boxing than we've had 10 years prior to 2023. And by the way, Conor Benn, he doesn't have a belt, but he is the highest paid co-main event in the history of boxing right now. So I don't know what to tell you, bro. I don't think the belts matter all that much anymore, more so than Turkey. If Turkey likes you, you're going to get paid.
They matter in that space, but the money is always... As long as we keep making it about the money, Turkey's going to whoop everybody's ass, bro. You know, what would have saved the traditional space would have been the integrity of the sport. That would have saved them in this conversation. But just making it about money, you're making it too easy, bro. You're making it too easy. If you're with a broad that just care about money, you ain't never going to get no true love. Because I'm going to come around and take it whenever I feel like it if you ain't got more money than me. And where does love live in that space? Love lasts because it's not about money. It's an emotional thing. There's a certain thing about it. It's an emotion. Champions are supposed to be champions because of what they do inside the ring, man. Making it all about money, it's a dangerous game that's being played, and it's why Turkey's been able to come into the game the way he's been able to come into the game, and Dana's been able to come in here. That's why Conor Benn is not there with Eddie Hearn. And Eddie Hearn is sitting there wiping his eyes saying, I thought we had something better than that. But you didn't, Eddie. It was about the money. It is what it is, man. Until the next one, man. This is that ATP Combat Media Show. Shout out to everybody in the building. Thank you for the love, the color in the chat today, man. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, take a moment to go ahead and do that. Hit the like button, help the algorithm. Watch out for the Read the Ring episode 5 that will be dropping. We'll be talking we've got an interesting conversation we're going to be having. So tap into that. I think you guys enjoy it. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to my guy, Angelo, man. And until the next one, it's that ATP Combat Media Show. It's your boy Clay. It's your boy Reyes. And at this point, we out.
Would make it this far, they hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball, I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say, I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life, I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back, you ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this, go up. You know it's all net when it go up.